See, good morning. See, last class we have discussed about natural resources. Natural resources meaning we have studied, and the various examples we have discussed, and we have already discussed about the types of resources, natural resources. There are two types, one is renewable and one is non-renewable. So even there we have studied various examples, and in this class we are going to see important or the important meaning of the scarcity, and we will discuss about the scarcity of resources in this class. So what do you mean by scarcity? Scarcity means shortage of resources. Understood? Scarce means shortage. So here you can see in this picture there are unlimited wants, as we discussed in the previous class, and there are limited resources. Understood? So in the limited resources we have unlimited wants. You understood what I mean by it? We have only less resources, but our wishes are more. So that should be controlled. So because of that, scarcity arises. See, when the scarcity problem arises, there will be a problem of choices. Understood? So in the problem of choices, it's important problems of the country. So first one is, these are the very important problems of the economy. The first one is what to produce. Understood? So what crop or what thing we have to produce, that's the main question arises when there is a scarcity. The next one is how to produce. This question also arises to the producer. And the last one, for whom to produce. Understood? These three important questions of economy. Understood? Our producers start thinking of this. What thing I have to produce? So he'll try to produce a good which has more demand. Understood? He will produce the good which has more demand, and he produces for whom? For the public. Understood? Those who are demanding the goods, for them he is producing. Understood? And the second question is how to produce. For how to produce, there are two types of techniques which the producer is going to implement. Which are they? One is a capital intensive technique and one is a labor intensive technique. See, capital intensive techniques needs more capital compared to the labor intensive technique. A labor intensive technique, it needs more labor and labor to be paid. They have to be paid. Understood? So here when we compare both of them, so which one you prefer? Labor intensive or capital intensive? So we will discuss in detail in this class about the scarcity of resources. You know, all our basic needs like food, clothes, shelter, etc. are the basic important things we should get. So are met out of various natural resources like air, water, soil, minerals, coal, petroleum, then animals, plants, etc. So, but how long they will be there? These are all very precious things, precious materials of the nature. then will be available for our use. So here, when the population is growing, the growing population, what does it do? And rapid industrialization, urbanization, then environmental degradation, pollution, this all will leads to the scarcity of resources. Understood? So here, in relation to our ever increasing wants, the available resources are severely scarce. Understood? While non-renewable resources are available in fixed quantity, and renewable resources are likely to be exploited beyond their generation rates. Understood? The main factors increasing scarcity are, the first one is the population growth or overpopulation. You can see the picture here, unlimited wants and limited resources. Why there are limited resources? Because unlimited wants, indirectly you can say, and you can see the population is more. We are not able to reach each and every one, so it's very difficult to produce for all. Understood? Then see, it's an example of scarcity. When there is a shortage of rainfall, what happens to the irrigation agricultural land? And it's very difficult to get water, so for the plants. You can see this, unlimited wants leads to scarcity, and it leads to choices. Understood? And it needs to, see, everyone needs to be satisfied. It's very difficult to be satisfied. So because of that, what happens? The unlimited choices arises, and the needs to be remain unsatisfied. Understood? Let us see about the overpopulation. See, our country stands second in population. Which country stands first in population? Is China. So China is leading in population in our world, and our country stands second. So here, the increasing population leads to the scarcity. You know that. So 65% of the population of our country are depending on agriculture. Understood? So there is a shortage of food, there is a shortage of shelter. Understood? Then see, because of overpopulation, these problems are arised. To provide a food is very difficult for them. Food and basic needs are very important for human being, but we are not able to fulfill that. So here, the increasing population requires additional land for growing additional food, and providing shelter, which is met through the conversion of forest land into the agricultural land, and agricultural land into the residential, and residential into commercial and industrial land. So like this it will be continued. So here it's a very important factor which is responsible for scarcity of resources. So here, the overpopulation plays a very important role, and the more the population leads to more problems. Understood? There is shortage of everything in our country. So because of population growth, this scarcity of resources arises. Understood? The next one is growing industrialization. So growing industrialization, see industrialization, why there is a expansion of industries or growing industries? Because of population growth, because there is more demand for the goods. So here, with the increase in industrialization, extraction of mineral ores, crude oil and water increase, resulting in emptying of mines, oil wells and water resources. Understood? So these are the very important points. We'll see the picture of industrialization. The next one is expanding urban areas. What do you mean by this? So the population is more. Because of population, for people, they require some resources or they require some shelter. Shelter is very important for them. So because of that, what happens, wherever the empty land or empty this one are there, they try to occupy it. Understood? So slowly the rural areas will be converted to urban areas. So the agricultural land will be converted into the industrial land or any other this one. So here, that because of the population growth, so this expansion of urban areas takes place. Understood? So here urban areas are those where a huge population lives in a small area. You can see in the city areas, naturally the demand of resources and the generation of waste is very high, contributing to the reduction in the quantity or in the quality of resources. You know that. So when there is a more demand of resources, they try to produce more. Even when they produce, they try to produce the low quality of resources, or they try to reduce the quantity because there is more population, or because of scarcity of resources, they are not able to produce more. Understood? So for example, Kaveri water from hundreds of kilometers away and pure water is converted into waste water by households and industrial units. Understood? So you can see the picture here. Urban expansion. So if you just visit some or city areas, you will not see a single agricultural land or a piece of land. You can see the buildings which have been constructed so congested. Understood? There is no space. Because of all this, what happens? Pollution problem takes place. Understood? So let us see the next important cause for the scarcity. See, the next one is atmospheric pollution. You have seen when you just visit to the city areas, the areas are very polluted because of heavy vehicles. Understood? See, with the greater burning of fossil fuels like coal, petroleum or diesel are harmful elements like carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, soot and dust get into the air, polluting it, and this reduces the availability of clean air. Understood? So because of this, what happens? The air will be polluted. So whatever the gas or whatever the waste materials, waste or like important elements like carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide and soot and dust get into the mixed with the pure air and it gets polluted. Understood? When it get polluted, so the polluted air, if we uh, consume or if we are surrounded by that, the people will be suffered with the various diseases, harmful diseases. Understood? So the next important uh, cause for the scarcity is water pollution and land degradation. Let us see the picture here. You can see the picture of water being polluted in the rivers. So, land degradation, you can see the picture. So when the human hospitals, industrial and other waste are dumped in the open spaces, what happens? They affect the land and water. Understood? And it reduces the quality as well as the availability of water, is polluted by agriculture and household activities. Understood? See, how can we overcome from all these problems? Let us see. First important point is exploration and discovery of new sources of resources. It's very important for the environment. So when we discover a new things, a new sources, so or alternative techniques to stop all this, it's very important. So and discovering substitutes, as I said, alternatives like solar and wind power in spite of hydroelectricity or coal power, ethanol, like in place of diesel, and plastic furniture in place of wooden furniture, etc. So we can conserve the resources. Understood? Then increase the efficiency of resources with the use of machines that consumes the less resource, like 4-stroke engine in place of 2-stroke engine. Understood? Long back you would have seen your parents' vehicle, if it is there, you see 2-stroke or 3-stroke, it was there, but now it has become a 4-stroke engine in place of 2-stroke. Then the government policies to regulate overuse of resources and pollution. Understood? So government has taken various measures to stop this pollution. You can see in the banks of the river or even on the roads and all, the huge dustbins to throw the waste and all, but still you can see the land getting degraded and water getting polluted by the people. Understood? So as a youngsters, you should be a role models in your future, and you have to stop all this and use the natural resources in such a way that it should be there for your future generations. Understood? So you have to educate your other friends and others in your family, and we have to use properly natural resources. Understood? Should not overuse it. Understood? Then the educating people about the conservation of resources and polluting waste, doing every day, in have a small skits in the or role play or dramas in the streets and all. They used to pass the message to the people to stop pollution and all. So like that, even you have to do, and you have to educate others to not to destroy or not to exploit the natural resources. Understood? So let us quickly recall what are the important things we have discussed in the today's class. So first we have discussed about the scarcity meaning. What do you mean by the scarcity of resources? So it is nothing but the shortage of resources. Next we have studied about the very important factors or important causes for the scarcity of natural resources. So the first one was overpopulation, then the next one was urbanization of industrialization, then urbanization, expanding urban areas, then atmospheric pollution, then water pollution and land degradation, and at last we have seen how we can overcome the problems of scarcity. Understood? So write the all important causes of scarcity and the meaning of scarcity and how we can overcome the problem of scarcity, and show me by evening, okay, and send me in the WhatsApp. Thank you, take care, we will see in the next session.